Hey, my name is Melinda Russell, and I am obsessed with telling the stories of women involved in motorsport, young and older, from all walks of life, currently involved in a wide range of roles or sharing their stories from the past. I'm a wife, mother of 4 adult children, and a mama of 16. In 2017, I was searching social media for a group dedicated to women in motorsports. When I didn't find what I was looking for, I posted a message to a few racing pages to see if any women would like to connect with me. And now I have thousands of women and men who are part of the Women's Motorsports Network. As crew chief of the only media company dedicated to women in motorsports, I work from wherever my travels take me, publishing this podcast, the Women's Motorsports Network News online magazine, and Let's Talk Racing Live, my social media show. You will hear from women who share their stories from the grid of life, how they manage the messy and memorable moments of family, work, and racing. You will hear their tried and true secrets of success, and many other topics like friendships, family, hardships, and heroes that women deal with to balance the seasons of life. So grab your favorite beverage, pull up a seat, make sure you are comfy, and get ready to be inspired and encouraged from the stories on the Women's Motorsports Network podcast. Hello, everyone. This is Melinda Russell with the Women's Motorsports Network, and it's my pleasure today to have as my guest Deni Jensen. Deni is going to start by telling us a little bit about herself so that we can get to know her better. And then, Deni, we'll talk about your racing. So why don't you just start sharing whatever you're comfortable sharing. And I want to just say welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me, Melinda. So my name is Deni Jensen. I am based out of Northwest Arkansas. Let me see. I am my wife. I'm a mom. I've got 2 daughters. Harper, she's fixing to be 13. My gosh. And I have a younger daughter, Crosby, who is 6. My husband and I, we also, we own a construction company. So we are local builders around the area. So that keeps us pretty busy. Let's see what else. Born and raised in Texas. So I've only been in Arkansas I've been in Arkansas, almost 20 years now. Love it up here. Love it up here. My husband was born and raised in Arkansas, so we actually went to high school together, and that's how we met. But terrific area to raise a family. Yeah. And oh gosh, what else? I guess as far as the racing goes, I grew up, and when we lived in Texas, my dad would take us to would drag us to a little track down in Temple called Little River Academy. And so I clearly remember having to go down there and watch my dad race. And that's kind of how it all got started, just by watching him race. He kind of, he built cars, and God, I would say fast forward, and not until I was, a mom, and probably 30, I think I was 34 years old is whenever I started actually getting into racing with my dad. So that's kind of my little background and history.
So so your dad raced, was it dirt or asphalt?
No, he drag raced. So dragsters.
Oh, he drag raced. Okay. Yeah. I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Because, so you didn't say, and so I wasn't sure how the racing got started. So he drag raced. And drag racing for a kid is probably not as entertaining maybe as circle track, just because it's 2 cars and then 2 cars and then 2 cars, right? And where a circle track, there's a lot more maybe crashes and that kind of stuff. So, you were little. Did you watch the racing, or did you take your dolls and your color books with you?
No, because, the way it was my dad, my mom, my sister, and I. So my dad would go, and he'd go with my Uncle Raymond and my grandfather, and they would race. Well, my mom would have me and my sister, and the way it was back then, we sat there, we stayed by my mom, we paid attention, we followed the rules, and that was that. So, we watched a lot of the races. I can't say that I was always super interested, because it was just like these two, like you said, it was these two cars, and I was 6 and 7 and 8, watching my dad go. But I will never forget the one and only race that I remember clearly was whenever my Uncle Raymond was driving their dragster, and this was at Little River, and it was a front engine. Well, the rear end or the crankshaft, I think, had blown up during the burnout. And I just remember like my mom grabbing my sister and I, and like all these people screaming, and you could hear him like, get me out of the car, get me out of the car. Because back then, we didn't have all the safety features and the knowledge that we do now. And so that is like my one and only memory of whenever they were racing back then. But
well, as a little girl, that really stuck with you,
Well, it did. And what's so funny is the very first car that, I got my feet wet in is a front engine dragster. Didn't faze me.
But no, I was just going to say it could have scarred you for life, but it didn't.
It could have. It could have. The way I see it, there's always going to be obstacles put in your way. It's, okay, do you overcome it? Am I going to be scared of all these things, or am I going to figure out how to do it? And should the situation approach me, how do I handle it to get myself out of it?
Right. And like you said, things have really changed since, that's 25 years ago or so. And so you have to rely on the technology and the safety things that have been put into place. And sure, we still see accidents happen, but it's normally something with the car that breaks and something gets on fire or whatever it is, it's not normally the driver. It's normally something goes wrong with the car for sure. So is your husband into racing or not really, or he is just because you are?
Yeah. So he's a golfer.
Okay.
He is.
So he had a good weekend last weekend. He was watching the Masters.
No, he was in a golf tournament.
Oh, okay. He was playing instead of watching.
Yeah. He was playing, but he, so he golfs, and he supports me 1,000%, so like whenever it's time to go race, he'll pack up the camper, the kids, he supports, he feeds everybody. He makes sure that we're all hydrated. That is what my husband Matthew does. That's not to say that he is not a hot rod guy. He is now restoring, and I believe he's going to kill me. I think it's a 71 Chevelle is what he's got in the shop right now. So he's a classic car guy.
Okay. All right. At least he's into cars in some way.
he's into cars, which thankfully, because now he can't keep saying, if we didn't go drag racing, you spend all of our money on drag racing. Now I can be like, guess what? You spend all of our money on cars. Like, we really need that LS motor? No.
Well, and Deni, golf's not cheap. It's not cheap to go golfing. So, hello.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, for sure. So, how about your girls? How do they feel about it? Now they're being drugged to the drag racing.
Oh, yeah. So my oldest one, Harper, so she actually, whenever I started racing, she's the one that started racing first. She wanted to get a little junior dragster, so we got her one. She loved it. She's done it. She's 13, so she's done it for probably the last 4 or 5 years now. But she just recently decided, so she's going travel softball. So that's all of her focus right now. But that 13, she's like, do I really have to go to the racetrack? A couple years ago, she loved it. Now it's like, seriously, Mom, that's boring.
Yeah.
And then my youngest one would love to race, but I mean, like, she'll sit in the little junior dragster that we have, and she drives like this. And I'm like, baby,
that's not good.
No, you can't look sideways. You got to look straight. She's like, but if I need a turn, I said, you don't turn.
No, you don't turn.
She wants to, bless her heart. She wants to drive so bad, but I think this one's going to need to stick with T-ball.
Yeah. And travel softball is a big commitment. So at least she's not trying to do too many things and then not be good at any of them.
Well, incorrect. She's really like pinpointed it. She's done softball since she was 5 years old. So it's really her thing. She's great at it. She's passionate about it. But I mean, it is no joke. Like, we might as well be picking a college right now, like trying to find all these travel teams and then the practices. And it is not for the faint of heart. I can tell you that.
It's not. It's a lot of, when they say travel, they're not kidding, for sure.
They are not kidding. No.
Absolutely. So when did you start drag racing? How many years ago?
4 now.
4 years. And then, and you're competing, and don't take this wrong.
Yeah.
And you're competing against people who've been drag racing for a long time.
Yes.
Or a lot of older people too.
A lot of older.
Do you think that makes a big difference though? Or is it more about your skill level and that kind of thing? Or actually your car too?
I am very fortunate that starting off, my dad taught me very well. I knew that car before I even went, turned it on. I knew that car inside and out, how to drive it. Should you get in a situation, this is what happens, if you roll, this is what's going to happen. You turn the car, whatever. So that, I think, helped me. And especially being older, starting racing older, because I have that, man, you could die, you could make a mistake. This could be the last, so you always have to make sure that you're on point and you're focused. I think that with that, and then going to Frank Hawley, and then I am very fortunate that I got hooked up with Randy Meyer Racing. All of those knowledgeable, just those people and the skill that they taught me has so much to do with. It's not even really how long you've driven a car. It's how well you can listen and how well you can pay attention. And whenever your crew chief says, hey, it's a cold track, you're going to do this, you do what they say. Mind you, there's some tweaking here and there as a driver. You have to make that decision because it's your life on the line. So you have to make that decision. But now that's not to say, like the John Forrest and the Tony Schumacher, even Julie, they've all been driving for so long. Of course, they're a better driver. Their life.
But you have to start somewhere, right? You have to start somewhere. Julie didn't start where she's at. We're talking about. Yeah. Tell me who we're talking about.
You have to start somewhere. So I think there's definitely a certain level of skill and confidence you have to have in yourself, no matter when you start racing. I'm super competitive. This is something that, just at 34 years old, I found my passion in life and what I'm meant to do. Yeah. So, I have a lot of catching up, but I have the willpower to get it done. And I know I will get it done. So to answer your question, I don't know. I think really in this sport, it's to each their own. You have like a tenth of a second to make decisions. So if you can't keep a clear head, that's really, it's really just the person. Every person, I don't know.
Everyone's different. So let's talk a little bit we were talking about Julie, and I always butcher her last name.
Natus.
Natos.
I might have butchered that too, but I'm pretty sure it's Natus. I know I've heard it plenty of times.
So I've known Julie for probably 6 years.
Yeah.
She was one of the first ladies that I interviewed, and I've seen her PRI, and I absolutely love her. I've actually interviewed both of the Meyer girls too.
Oh, right. Oh, love them all. Julie's great. Yeah. I love Rachel and Megan. Megan and I have become really good friends.
Yeah. So I know they're both married, but they're always going to be Rachel and Megan Meyer to me because I can't remember their married names. But great race car drivers, dragster drivers. Megan has a wonderful company where she helps other women, not just women, she helps other people with sponsorship and all kinds of different things related to racing. And so I follow her for that. And then and of course Julie, and now you're on the team. It's a team of women. Are there any guys on their team?
Yeah, there are. So we've got Scott Dean and then Hunter Green. I think Matt Sackman kind of he'll fill in whenever he has the time, because he has his own car and his own team that he does. But yeah, there's guys on the team.
Yeah, I thought there was, but I don't really follow them. I just kind of follow the women's, which I can't begin to follow everybody, so I have to limit it to somebody, right? So how did you get connected with them? Because you're in Arkansas and they're in Kansas. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. So I actually ran into them. It's whenever they were still running Chaos. So they were down in Ennis. And my dad and I just happened to be down there. I was testing in a fuel altered at the time. So, honestly, because I can't ever shut up and I'll talk to a brick wall, I just went over and started talking and chit-chatting, and that's how I ran into them and sat there and, talked to Rudy for a bit, talked to Julie and then Megan. And yeah, that's how I got hooked up with them.
Well, and you have to put yourself out there, If when you're at the drag strip and there's, hundreds of people, if you're not the one that goes up to somebody and makes the connection, it's probably not going to happen, because everybody's busy doing stuff. And so you have to put yourself out there, which, like you said, you can talk to anybody. That's a positive for you. And so, tell me what. Well, yeah, most of the time. So tell me, what is it that you're going to be doing with them this year, so that my listeners know what's going on?
Yeah, so I'm actually I'm filling in for, because Rachel's having a baby, so I am filling in for Rachel right now on the gunk team. So Megan and I have a match race coming up at Mocan Dragway for Memorial Weekend here in May. I think it's May 24th and 25th. So we've got a handful of those coming up. And then really it's just, kind of fighting whenever there's some open seats and just really getting that seat time in, so I can, keep on leveling up in the car, staying comfortable, start working on my lights. So I'll kind of be here and there. Plus I'll also be working on the car, whenever Randy needs me.
Yeah. Yeah. So how does that work when you're so far apart logistically?
I fly a lot.
You fly a lot.
I fly a lot.
Yeah. All right. You just meet up at the race, and you don't actually go out to their shop that often or anything.
No. Well, that's funny. So I'm going out Saturday because Megan and I have a photo shoot that we've got to do. So, and I'm only 3 hours away from them. So for me to drive,
I would have thought it was farther.
No, it's about 3 hours from me, because I'm in the very top corner of Arkansas.
Okay.
So it's not much of a drive. So I'm going to go up there this weekend actually. But as far as like races and stuff go, I'll fly out, get an Uber to the drag strip, and usually just stay in the motorhome with everyone.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't realize you were that close. I was in my head, I was thinking it was longer than that apart. So that's not so bad at all, really. You're pretty close. Yeah. So what's your favorite thing about driving a car and, drag racing?
Ooh, the burnout.
The burnout.
If I could get paid to just to do burnouts, I would burn out all day long. If that's all I had to do was burnouts, if that's all I could do, and I would be like the burnout queen. I have done like the longest burnouts. And my dad, he's like, "Did you really? Was that necessary?" I said, "No, it was not." But everybody loved it.
Yeah. And that's kind of your little niche. So you're going to be the burnout queen. So that's kind of fun.
I love them.
Yeah. Have you had anything scary happen to you since been driving?
Yeah. So let's see. In the front engine, which is my front engine dragster, I've had the brakes go out on me. I've had the throttle stick. I've had oil blow all in my face, just right as soon as you cross that quarter mile. You're just really hauling butt. Oil's all in my face, so I'm having to try to, get something. You can't move in these things, so that's happened.
No.
A couple of weekends ago, we were testing, and I did have an accident. So it's my first crash ever. I tell you what, this car built. I mean, granted, it could have been a lot worse. Essentially, what happened was it was cold, so the car didn't hook up, and it rolled and slid. But to the credit of NHRA and all the safety equipment and everything that they put in place, when I tell you that this thing rolled and slid, I mean, I made it all the way to the quarter mile. And the accident started at probably 100 feet. So I just launched, and then tire folded over, and there it goes. But didn't move. I mean, to my disbelief, I was so clear-headed as to exactly what was going on. Okay, it's rolling. Okay, when the second you hit, get the car shut down. You're going to probably slide a bit, get out, run over to the other side of the track, climb over the wall. They'll come in and get you. Everything will be fine. Just the way I was able to not panic, and everyone's like, what was your adrenaline? Absolutely. So adrenaline is a good and a bad thing. It can be. For me, it was a very good thing because, again, to practicing, should you get in a situation, and I mean, okay, this is exactly what you're supposed to do. I did it. I knew it was going to happen. So that was not fun, but in drag racing, it's bound to happen. You're bound to have something happen. So it's just, again, how do you react to the situation?
Yeah. And it's just like, talking about if you have a fire in your house, what do? You have to prepare for things that might go wrong. And the more you're prepared, like in your head, you maybe had already done that in your head, thinking, if this happens, this is what I'm going to do.
Exactly.
And that's what helped you through that whole situation. So being prepared ahead of time mentally,
yes,
helps you through whatever's happening. And so, that's a good lesson for everybody that's listening, for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, and again, and I don't know if that also comes with just being older and having, lived, and been through some situations, not even necessarily to drag racing, but, okay, what if your kid gets hurt? What do you do? Just all life lessons. So I think that also helps because I'm very realistic about the fact that, okay, if something happens or when it does happen, this is what you have to do to get yourself out of it. There's no sense in panicking because all you're going to do is make it worse.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. For sure. So, you're on a team with a lot of women, there's so many women in drag racing. Now, not to say that there aren't a lot of women in all other kinds of racing, because there are, but a lot of the other, for instance, we're going to Kalamazoo Speedway, where my granddaughter races, starts racing tomorrow night. She'll be the only girl in her class, probably.
Wow.
Okay. Whereas when you go to the drag strip, from the little tiny girls up to the adult women, half of them are women or girls. I mean, it seems like it. Yeah. There's so many more, I feel like, that start in drag racing. Mm-hmm. But do you ever have any male, interaction that's not favorable?
No, but I'm also a person that I don't really like confrontation, and I don't like the awkwardness. So I'm a lot like my dad, where if there was even like a unfavorable interaction, I do what I can to, okay, this is the line, but let's laugh it off so that I don't make you feel uncomfortable or, unwanted, around me, or like you can't just walk up and say hi. No, honestly, I've been very fortunate, but I also, again, being older, I know how to keep that boundary. without making them feel uncomfortable or like, oh wow, she's not nice or she's mean. So
Yeah.
Again, it's just all, you learn how to handle yourself.
Yeah. So, your dad was a racer and your mom probably, she went, obviously. She may not have really liked that he was racing because of the danger, but she got used to it. But how do they feel about their daughter doing
Oh
it?
man. So my dad obviously loves it. Like, this is something that we do together. Didn't always hang out a lot when I was younger. I was always with my mom. We went shopping and did that sort of thing. So the fact that, as a grown woman, I'm with my dad now, like I'll go to my parents' house and my mom's like, oh, hey, Deni. And I'm like, hey, going to the shop, dad and I got to take the car apart. So she's like, whatever.
Yeah.
So she's very supportive. It makes her nervous. You can always tell, especially, when I'm getting ready, because my mom's a very emotional person. So she'll give me a hug when I'm suited up. And sometimes she'll just, start crying. She's like, be safe, Deni. I'm like, oh my gosh, Mom. Okay.
Yeah.
But my dad, again, he's also, he's taught me the things. We know the dangers that can come with it, but we also know how much fun we have. So I just, we have so much fun together that kind of negates how dangerous it could be.
And then what about your sister? She's obviously not into the racing. No,
but she goes. She's very supportive.
Okay, good. So you all still live.
Oh yeah.
Do they still live in Texas, or where do they live?
No. So we all moved up here.
Okay.
In Texas. And actually funny. So I had just finished my junior year of high school down in the Temple Belton area. And my dad had moved us. I mean, like, I had just made varsity cross country, everything. And my parents talked to us and they said, hey guys, we have to move. I was just getting ready to start my senior year. And I mean, boy, you want to talk about some mad kids. We were not mad. I was so mad for months. But so we all moved up here as a family because my dad took a job. So God, I was 17 when we came up here.
No worse year to move than senior year.
No, and I worked so hard for that varsity spot. Man, I worked so hard, and I finally made it. We got to move. Never even got to run. Never even got to run on the varsity team. I was so mad.
That's too bad. But you met your husband, and so things happen for a reason, right?
Everything happens for a reason. And looking back now, I'm so happy and so thankful that they did make us move, because the opportunities in our area and everything that we've done with our lives probably wouldn't have happened if we would have stayed in Texas. Different situation. Like you said, I wouldn't have met my husband. My sister wouldn't have met hers. I don't know if I'd have kids or not. Just everything happens for a reason. I probably wouldn't be racing.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. So how do you feel about racing and social media? How do you use it? How can we follow you? All those kinds of questions, because, that's one of those things that's a good thing and can be a bad thing. I know Meyer racing team is very good at their social media presence and sharing, and Megan especially, I'm sure, has a hand in that. So how do you share what you do? And then, because that's how I found out you were, going to be doing some racing with them with social media. So talk to me a little bit about your personal side and then working with them.
Okay. So obviously I do lean on Megan quite a bit. She is very, very good at social media. Like, that is just her thing. I did not grow up with social media. I mean, I come from the days of when we had a MySpace account, so a lot of people don't even know what MySpace is anymore. No. So I did not grow up like documenting my life. So it's really hard for me to remember to like, oh my gosh, let me video this because this would be great content. It's really hard for me to still wrap my head around all that, especially, and this isn't to say, and this is just, me specifically, because we don't really let our kids, like we don't keep them from, social media or the internet or anything like that, or phones, but we try to limit. And so it's hard for me to say, hey, don't get on your phone, don't be looking at YouTube. And I'm sitting here, like, oh, hey guys, trying to. So it's finding that balance. But I try to document, a lot of my daily life. So just, because I think people are also interested in that. Like, of course you're interested in the aspect, but like, who are you as a person? I'm a big CrossFitter. I've worked out for forever. We've got horses, we've got, our kids, doing side-by-sides in the yard, just normal stuff that humanizes us. We're not just some drag racer. Like, I'm actually a person. And I feel like people enjoy that, you don't want to overdo it, but then to go to like, how to, I guess, sell yourself. Oh, yeah. I'm like, Megan, what do I do? I'm sitting here texting her. Yeah. She'll like tell me, you do this, this, and this. I'm like, okay. So,
yeah. And people, fans or people that follow drag racing or whatever kind of racing, they do want to know who you are, and and not that you have to exploit your children or anything. Yeah. But they do want to know, hey, you're a mom of 2 girls. Oh, you have a teenage girl. Oh, that's fun. I have a teenage girl. I can relate to, whatever. She doesn't want to go to the racetrack, that kind of thing. I think that helps make you seem more real to them and not just a drag racer. And so I think that's important. And, like you said, it has to become kind of a mindset of your social media. Like, oh, this would make a good TikTok video, because I don't care, you can like TikTok or not, but there's no better sport for TikTok than racing, because little, especially drag racing, boom, short little videos of you racing. Now, come on, how could that not be a great TikTok video? And so we have to kind of, like you said, we have to have a balance. And so how would someone like follow you? Are you on Instagram? What are you on, and how would they find you?
Yes. So I am on Instagram. It's at Deni Jensen Racing. Facebook, there's Deni Jensen Racing. And then I did just make a TikTok. So I'm learning. Bear with me, guys. But I think the TikTok is also Deni Jensen Racing. So I try to keep it simple across the board for everything. Yeah. So those three accounts right there. And then also, I'm always open. Anybody that messages me or, just wants to have a conversation. I love talking to people. So if you message me, I will always like interact and message and talk and, just answer comments, anything that you guys want to talk about or questions, whatever. So I've actually made a couple of friends. They might not exist. I don't know, but I'll sit there and talk to them through Messenger all day long.
Okay. And then, I just lost my train of thought. What I was going to ask you about. Oh, I know, your schedule. So how would we know if you're going to be, where you're going to be racing and all that, so that if we, maybe you're coming close to where we are, that we could come and watch?
Yes. So all those logistical things will actually, they're kind of going to be done kind of on the fly this year. We'll definitely have something out solid for next year, but everything will be posted through social media, Facebook, Instagram, I'll even put it on TikTok. So that will all be done through there. Now we'll just kind of post things like, as probably a couple weeks in advance. And that's how we'll go through this year.
All right. And then would it be on Randy Meyer Racing as well when you're racing for them?
Yes.
Yeah. And will it say that it's you that's racing? I mean, are they going to say, oh, this race is going to be Julie and Deni, and this race is going to be so-and-so?
Yes. Yeah. So you'll know exactly. So anything that I post or Randy Meyer will, and then, you'll have my name on it, just like you say. So, Charlotte 4Y, Julie Natus, and Deni Jensen. Not saying I'm racing that, just example.
Okay. All right. I'd love to come and watch the two of you race, because Julie's just become, I don't know, she's just special to me for some reason. She was, like I said, she was one of the first ones I interviewed. I interviewed her at PRI one of the years when I had a booth, and I've just stayed in touch with her all this, this time. And so, but I've never gotten to see her race. So I'm going to have to check out that schedule, because I'd love to come and watch the two of you race.
Yeah.
That would be so fun for sure. Yeah. So Deni, is there anything that I haven't asked you about or that we haven't talked about that is just a huge miss on my part?
I don't think so. But as soon as this call is done, I'm going to say, oh man, we should have said that.
Yeah, for sure. So, are you still waiting for your first win, or have you had a win?
I'm still waiting for that first win. I know it's going to happen. But again, it's getting that consistent seat time. So I know it's there for me. I have to keep working for it, which means that when it does happen, it's going to be that much better. So I'm excited for the day.
Yeah, it's going to happen. I know it is for you for sure. Well, I don't have any other questions for you. Any last thoughts or any advice for somebody out there that's getting into racing, or anything at all that you want to share before we hang up?
Yeah. I guess advice as far as anybody that wants to try it out. I mean, just go for it. I would have never in a million years thought that I would love racing as much as I do, and not even just drag racing, any kind of racing. It's something that, it's worth giving it a shot. Don't be nervous. Don't be scared. Just Frank Hawley drag racing school, even if just to do the adventure class, man, that is the perfect way to get yourself in the seat and just see what it's all about.
Yeah, that's a good thing to mention, is about Frank Hawley, because that would be a great, and you're going to know right away whether you like it or not.
Oh, absolutely.
If you go to something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, Deni, I hope you have a great season. I'm going to be following, of course. So whenever you post anything, tag Women's Motorsports Network Media Company, so that then I see it. Otherwise, if I'm trying to find you, it's harder, because I have so many that I try to follow. But tag us in your posts, and that way I can share them for you. And if I can ever do anything or promote what you're doing, you can always reach out to me. That's what I'm here for as well. And tell Julie and Megan and Rachel I said hi, and give them each a hug for me.
I will. Thank you so much. It's been so great talking to you.
Thank you, Deni.
All right. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Women's Motorsports Network podcast. Subscribe to my show and follow me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. If you or someone you know would like to be featured in the Women's Motorsports Network News online magazine, this podcast, or Let's Talk Racing Live, my social media show, contact me via Messenger on Facebook at Melinda Russell, or send me an email at womensmotorsportsnetwork@gmail.com.